We are plants.
We are, right? We just, at least, I don't know if we have more emotions. Maybe plants have a lot of emotions too, but we're just able to express them.
Yeah.
You know? And if we're smart enough, we can depend on ourselves to take care of ourselves better. Whereas plants, in a lot of settings, depend on us. All right. Hey, what's up? It's AJ on the More Than Grass podcast. I am here with Blake Baker of Blake Baker Real Estate. Little surprise guest. So, man, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
How long have you been in the real estate industry?
Since 2016.
Yeah?
Yep.
So about 8 years?
Yeah. 8 years.
Seen some changes?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah?
You don't even know. I mean, it's, first of all, how fast it's gone by. You saying 8 years right now is like kind of blowing my mind, but yeah, so it's Blake. I'm with eXp Realty. I'm a associate broker with eXp Realty, but
Okay.
My Instagram just says Blake Baker Real Estate. So
Got it.
fair enough.
Yeah. Well, hey, thank you for putting the handle out there, right? People got to know how to find you.
For sure.
And have you been with eXp the whole time?
No. So I started in 2016. I'm from Pasadena originally. So started over there with a RE/MAX office. And I was with RE/MAX until actually July of this year. Mm-hmm. In 2020, I moved down to League City. I just decided I love this area. It's the area I want to be in. It's the up and coming newer area that it got me excited. So I said, let me get down there, and I love the area. I used to actually work down here. My family owned a storage facility in Alvin, so I would come down 45 every day and come right through 646 and 45 area, and I was eating lunch over there every day and everything. So I got really like kind of a feel for the community and just fell in love with it. So I knew that's the area I wanted to be in when I moved. So I bought a house right there in Victory Lakes, and the rest is history, more or less. But speaking of Blake Baker Real Estate, I brought you a gift. Had these made a little while ago.
Dude, that looks super freaking cool.
I know the throwback 90s NASCAR theme is popular right now, so I wanted to gift this to you, sir.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah, man.
So being in real estate, 8 years experience. Now, of course, you're on the Hippie Fertilizing More Than Grass podcast. Mm-hmm. What do you know about grass?
Well, I know that, we had a short conversation before the podcast, so I'll just kind of parrot what I said before. I know that grass, it's like life, you get out of it what you put into it.
That's so true.
So one of my goals with my yard personally is, like I said, I have a buddy, Sam, who his front yard looks like a putting green. Mm-hmm. I mean, he has put countless hours into it. That's not me. I want to have a yard that looks good enough, not a ton of weeds, not a ton of overgrowth, that I can mow once a week, edge it up, just do the normal things and have it look good, right? So it depends on how deep you want to go with it. I know you can go down a rabbit hole with grass.
Oh, big time in many different directions, which most people kind of don't know either, that all of our grass varieties are warm season grass varieties.
Right.
Up north, it's completely different. You have
Really?
cool season grass varieties.
Okay.
Correct. And then you even, like you mentioned before about ryegrass, right? I've never really messed with it because people that I've seen always get the cheap stuff, and it causes your lawn to get clumpy and you have to mow it during the wintertime. Because as you know, we don't get too cold here. So stuff doesn't go incredibly dormant either. However, I'm going to be playing with more ryegrass this year because as I've moved up the chain, you could say, like in my fertilizing business, I'm not going to be afraid to tell somebody, hey, we're only going to use the good stuff and it costs this much.
Yeah.
Because it's significantly more expensive, but your results out of it are significantly better. Like no mowing, it stays lower, it looks prettier and finer. And there's even a variety or two that are more like biannual. So you'll get a couple seasons out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The stuff I got is not biannual. I can already tell you that.
Yeah. Well, you said it grows pretty high, right?
So it's no secret. Last summer was like a record torch.
Oh yeah. It's gross.
Summer. I mean, it was super gnarly. So
I wanted to tap out.
Yeah. So my yard was just like a witch's broom. Like, it was ridiculous. So as we went into the fall, I have a friend who's in landscaping, and he was like, let me throw some winter rye in your yard and just get it back to where it looks good. I'm like, okay, dude, you could watch this stuff grow. Like, I'd literally go out in the morning and see it, and then I'd come home from work and it'd be an inch taller. Like, not even exaggerate. It was like crazy. So in the wintertime, I usually look forward to kind of having a little break from having to mow the grass. Dude, this was once a week. I could have done like every 5 days, really.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
and then when you mow it, it's clumpy and mushy and messy.
And it's real wet, right?
Yeah.
So it's really moist, so it would clump up my mower. And I was like, when you get done mowing, it looks amazing. I mean, it looked like Bay Oaks.
Fuzzy, soft.
Well, yeah, it looked like the rough at Bay Oaks Country Club. Like, it looked really good, but then it was short-lived. I kept up with it. It looked great. Literally, this is so funny. My neighbors had a party and they came over to my house and they were like, hey man, this is my friend. We're having a party over here. He just wanted to ask you, like, how do you do your yard like this? And I had a bucket full of winter rye seeds. I was like, bro, here, take this. I said, just take this. So, but then as soon as it got hot outside, it all died. So now my yard is
back to square one.
Yes.
Right. Well, if you need help with that, I know a guy. Hit me up. So there is a lot to know about grass types. I'm even learning about zoysia.
Zoysia.
Yes.
I heard Phil Mickelson say that. I love that word.
Who?
Phil Mickelson, the golfer.
I don't know who that is.
He's like one of the top golfers in the world. But
okay. Yeah.
But I heard him say that in an interview, zoysia, and I didn't know what that meant. So what does that mean?
Zoysia is a specific type of warm season grass.
Okay.
Now, sometimes if you look up the specs on it, it'll say it's drought tolerant and stuff, which, let me tell you, having 15 years experience in the lawn care industry, when we have summers like we do, there's no such thing as drought tolerance, okay? Unless you have like just meadow grass, right? Which is not favorable for our urban setting, right? What I have discovered about it is that it likes a more balanced N to K ratio, meaning nitrogen to potassium, which in my studying about nutrients and uptake with plants and grass, really a lot of our warm season grasses can handle a more balanced N to K ratio. But from what I gather, it's very important to get the kind of look everyone's looking for the zoysia, which you may not know, but potassium is very mobile in plants. It gets leached out fairly easy. So when we have our rains like we do right now, it's a really good thing to supplement over and over again in small doses. But it's essentially like a macro electrolyte.
Bananas, right? Man.
Yeah.
You cramp up, you eat a banana for the potassium.
Right.
I drink electrolytes. You look, what's the main thing? Potassium, magnesium.
And so it's the same with plants.
We are plants.
We are, right? We just, at least, I don't know if we have more emotions. Maybe plants have a lot of emotions too, but we're just able to express them.
Yeah.
And if we're smart enough, we can depend on ourselves to take care of ourselves better. Whereas plants in a lot of settings depend on us, right? So the journey with zoysia is great because as you were talking about your buddy having this beautiful lawn and a fancy mower, right? I have a customer that that's his goal. He's gonna get a real mower, is what your buddy has, and we've been leveling it out, getting it to a certain point and making some huge steps, but it's been a learning curve for me since more than 90% of our lawns here are predominantly St. Augustine.
Yeah.
And then the other second to that is mostly common Bermuda, but you do have different various types of Bermuda throughout the area.
Yeah.
But going back to like the experience in real estate, how important is a lawn and landscape when it comes to real estate and buying, selling, owning a home?
There's two things that really stand out to me whenever I am showing clients homes. People can live with a home that is outdated. If it's from 1995, you got pink countertops and, linoleum floors and stuff. As long as it's clean, smells good. Smells are... I think it's like an evolutionary thing where if we smell something weird, we're just turned off. Like
Oh, I'm big on smells, so I can
right. I mean, if you
agree
go
with
to
that.
eat a meal and there's something that smells weird, you're not going to, it's
Right.
like a safety mechanism built into us.
Unless it's cheese and it's supposed to smell weird.
Limburger. Yeah. But when you pull up to a house, man, and there's this house in my neighborhood that comes to mind right now. There's so many weeds that they've all conglomerated into one, just like, it's almost like there's like grass in the flower bed, and they don't, and this is a $650,000 house, and they just don't. And I'm like, how are you going to buy us that nice of a house in this nice of a neighborhood? And I know the HOA is sending them letters. I mean, we have a pretty gnarly HOA.
Oh, I'm aware.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad used to live in that neighborhood. And
Okay.
have customers in your neighborhood.
Yeah. So if you drive around, especially, I'm in the new section. There's a couple, like 3 people in my little section that just do not care about their yard.
So is that, I don't know. I got actually the majority of my customers in the neighborhood on Bowen Drive,
Yeah. So I live on Course-View,
which is
the street over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you probably have seen the house I'm talking about, but
Dude, there are some raunchy lawns over there. And yeah, it's a super nice neighborhood.
yeah. So if I pull up with a $650,000 client and they could have spent, you would know how much, I don't know, but if, hey, come over, clean up the front, clean out the flower beds, let's put some new mulch down, just freshen the yard up, that could make the difference between a sale or not. I mean,
So-
depending on the type of person that you're dealing with.
Let's look at this like realistically and give me your honest feedback, because again, you live in the same neighborhood, right? I'll be honest. A lot of times I do what's called the lawn restoration service. We bring in soil, top dress it, fertilize it, feed it. And I even tell my customers, like, hey, we're not going to focus on weeds because you're destroying your lawn. We're going to focus on building the turf, because typically if their lawn got that far, they tried weed and feed and to kill the weeds, and that halfway brought them there. And then you add weather like we did last year, right? And it makes the problem worse, big time. So when I provide those services, they're anywhere from like $800 to $2,000 for fixing a lawn. Now, sod installation, however, you're like, well, I just want to redo my whole lawn. It looks like crap. I'm like, okay, are you ready to drop $6,000 to $9,000?
Yeah.
Right. So my cost is significantly less to bring back a lawn. Now, in terms of like mulch, cleaning it up, just depending on the size, because these things vary drastically, they can be anywhere from $500-$600 to a couple $1,000.
Let's go crazy. There's a frog.
What's up, dude?
That's funny.
We got nature on the podcast.
Let's go crazy and call it $3,000.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So in this market right now, it's no secret that it's not the market it was in 2020 through 2022. Okay.
Oh, where everything was like buy now.
It was like people would look past almost anything just to get a home, right? So now that people have choices, so it just came out that we're back to pre-pandemic levels of inventory.
Okay.
So people have choices now. Like they can go, it could be a Tuesday. They could call their realtor and say, hey, schedule 5 homes for Saturday. Odds are those 5 homes are still going to be available on Saturday. Whereas before it was like, this one just hit the market. We have to get there today. By the time you look at it, there's 3 or 4 or 5 offers. You don't have time to think. Now people can sit back and really like, where do we want to be? What, they have options.
Right.
So in a market where you have to stand out as a listing, like I said, say it's $3,000, you're going to lose considerably more than $3,000 by not refreshing your front yard to put you in the best position possible to sell. Because what happens when you sit on the market, so you pull up to, a buyer pulls up to the house, your yard looks shabby, it gives them a bad impression, and they may not even like look at it and be like, that doesn't look good, I don't like that.
They're not consciously
it's a
judging it.
subconscious thing.
Oh, definitely.
So much of home buying is like a gut feeling. It's like dating. I always tell people it's like dating. Like I've seen people that are like, I like this house, man, but it's just not for us. And I say, oh, you like it as a friend. Yeah. I mean, like, when you're a young man, you go on and it doesn't always, it's like, she was a nice girl, but it just wasn't there. Real estate's very much like that. So in this type of dynamic market where you are competing, you have competition now as a seller rather than a buyer. You have to do everything you can to set yourself up for success. And if you have to spend $3,000 on the yard, the reason I say that you will lose that $3,000 plus some is if the yard looks like crap, you sit on the market, you continue to sit on the market, the homes around you start selling. People say, well, what's up with this house? Why is this house not selling? And the more time you sit on the market, what do you think a buyer is going to do? They're going to look at it and say, so they've been on the market for 90 days. They're listed at, call it whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. I bet you they'd take $20,000 off now to get out of it.
Yeah, you're right.
Because the longer you sit on market, the more leverage you're losing.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And any agent that's an advocate for their buyer is going to advise their buyer that.
Because then it doesn't seem as new, right? It's not as fresh.
The most dynamic period of time to market your home is the first 7 days on market.
Ooh, hold up. I know we typically talk about grass and everything, right? That's what we're largely about in soil biology. But that is some solid nuggets right there. 7 days on the market. The first 7 days. Yep. Is like your best bang for your buck time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, imagine you go to buy a brand new truck and say it's a couple-year-old truck, like a slightly used truck, just like homes are slightly used.
Right.
Say they pull it up into the parking lot and you're like, hey, I was calling about the 2021 GMC Sierra 2500. And they say, come up to the dealership. They pull it around the corner and it's like dirty, like it had been going off-road. You'd be like, no.
Yeah, especially if you're asking for like listing price and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
put the pipe down, pimp.
Yeah. Sale. Yeah. It's the same thing.
Yeah. So that's because I hear it. And of course, a couple of years ago was a different ball game, right? So people are like, oh, I'm worried about my lawn. I'm like, dude, just put this shit on the market, right? It'll be gone. But again, having 15 years experience and being a little bit older now and seeing a little bit more of the real estate side and the home buying and, just like these adult things, right? You get started and you're brand new baby and you're 22. Like, I didn't care.
Yeah.
And none of that. But now I'm definitely starting to care and starting to see the importance of it. And because I never thought for a long time about a lawn, and me even being in the industry, a lawn adding value to your home or being an investment. And now I'm thinking, having so much experience, would never recommend to a homeowner who gives a crap about any of this stuff to buy a home without an irrigation system.
Yeah.
Because it's already there. That's $6,000 to $8,000 you're not going to have to drop. Because if you're calling me like, AJ, I want my lawn real nice, my first question is, can you water the lawn?
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of times people, if you don't have an irrigation system, let's be honest, it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Right?
Your younger crowd is going to look past a lot of stuff just because they don't have the eye for it. Mm-hmm. They just have like a feeling about like they just want to be in this neighborhood or they want to be here or they want a house.
Yeah.
We want a house.
Right.
You're more like, how old are you?
I'm 36.
Okay. I'm 34. So I just had my first kid in May and I'm not even joking, dude. I'm sorry, April 30th, almost May. I'm not even joking. Something clicked to where I notice little things more, right? Yards being one of them. So whenever I see somebody whose yard is like immaculate, I say, wow. Okay, so
what are they doing?
The time that they put into their yard, that I know they put time into it because you can't not. You either have to put time into it or pay a hefty sum to have someone else put time into it.
So I just want to say thank you for saying that, because so many times I do get customers and people who are like, well, man, never does anything. And I'm like,
your yard is a reflection of who you are.
That's never true. You just don't see what they do because you're busy living your life.
Yeah. Your yard is a reflection of who you are if you're able-bodied and can take care of it. I know there's people that just can't do it. I mean, I'm not talking about them, but if you, like I said, if you put time into it, what type of person are you? You're a type of person that takes care of your stuff. If they see a nice yard, I know this guy probably takes care of everything else in his house because his yard is amazing. So he probably upkeeps everything, right?
Yeah. I'm going to throw myself under the bus hardcore here. So Because you're right. And it's, oh, you painted the picture so well. And I'm just going to paint the picture of like my own home. Sometimes, especially the front, gets looking a whole lot better because I know that's what everyone sees, right? The back is never terrible, but it's not great. And then there's times where like I get an itch and I'm about to clean house and spick and span it all up, and then I get a little tired and exhausted. I'm like, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
I still got the most flowers on my street, and my stuff looks pretty much, I hate to say it, but like better than my neighbors, so I'll let it go.
It is a competition. Let's not get it twisted. There's a subliminal competition. Because I know if I hear my neighbor out there mowing and I know my yard needs to be done, I'm like,
yeah,
better get out there.
Well, luckily for us, there's like 3 of us in a row that all kind of help each other to some degree, or 4 now, because my other neighbor, he just rents the house and he takes more care of it than anybody who's been there.
Oh, that's a lucky landlord.
And I love it. And since I'm in lawn care and everything, like I'll get out there and help him, because I'm like, you're doing something, dude. I'm here to support you. Let's go on this lawn journey.
Yeah.
And we even are doing an experiment right now of putting zoysia plugs in the front lawn, and we totally ripped apart and tilled the front lawn, put zoysia plugs down, and it trimmed up the trees a little more. It's been getting a lawn. You're right, can take a lot of work.
Let me ask you this. So you've seen my little section of Victory Lakes where I live.
Yeah, it's so if I understand correctly, you're like on the other street when you get on Bowen, right?
Yeah, so you go on Bowen and then there's a street that goes off to the right. I'm on that street.
Okay, yes. Yeah.
So there's a lady who lives on Bowen, and we would be walking the dog like last summer, and her yard, dude, her turf was like, it was so thick, the most lush green St. Augustine grass. And she was outside one day and we were walking the dog, and I just said, hey, can I ask you a question? She said, yeah. And it's just this, from what I can tell, it's just her there, just this single old lady, older. I said, you have the most beautiful grass. What do you do to get it like this? She said, I put down Epsom salt.
So you know what Epsom salt is?
Not really.
It's simply magnesium sulfate. Okay. Again, goes back to that electrolyte thing, right? And magnesium sulfates help out, like, if I'm not mistaken, help break down salts in the soil. They help with nutrient uptake of other things, because we really have a lot of minerals and nutrients in the soil, but they're typically locked up. We have a lot of clay, and clay can be very beneficial when kind of worked with properly, but it can also harm you big time when not worked with properly, because essentially, like, it can hold the good and it can hold the bad. Okay, so depending on what you're throwing in there, it's retaining it and your problem lasts longer. Epsom salt helps flush out the bad.
We got some serious clay around here too. Beaumont red clay. You ever heard of that?
Not specifically Beaumont red clay, but definitely our gumbo clay.
Yeah, gumbo.
What it's typically referred to as. Yeah.
My dad was in the dirt business for 40 years, and he always used to say Beaumont red clay and gumbo were, two things that it's like a big deal around here.
Oh, huge. Yeah, everyone has it. And putting stuff down like your typical weed and feeds, you're putting down an herbicide, which I haven't seen a really good one for St. Augustine. But then you're also putting down a lot of salt, which causes the clay to bind together more. And so you're kind of creating your own compaction issue, right? And then you're also creating a barrier so where water and things like that don't penetrate as deep. And so when she's putting down her Epsom salt, it helps water to penetrate deeper. And her having that super thick, lush lawn, if she's not bagging it, she's recycling all the nitrogen in her lawn. Okay, because you got tons of nitrogen in your grass already. And the more that you essentially, I hate to say this, right, because I'm in the business, but leave stuff alone, nature has its own recycling system. And when you do just a little bit of stuff, you want to biostimulate it versus shove a bunch of food in its mouth.
Nature. I was saying nature never blows it.
No, I've even heard on cool videos like nature has a perfect economy, right? It knows how to give and take and receive, and and stuff in a very balanced way.
Ways we don't even know about yet.
Right.
Like we're still discovering things every day. Dude, it's like fascinating to me
Yeah.
how it all just works together. Like, and that's the way, like how you were saying that the environmental part of it. Here's a question for you. And I know this is not a,
Well,
or do you have a finish your point?
well, I also just kind of want to put it out there. Like, I don't want to go too deep down on this rabbit hole in this episode because man, I have a feeling you're about to ask me a question that I could dive into hard.
Well, what time is it right now?
Because
let's spend 5 minutes on this.
Okay. Three.
Okay.
Maybe.
I enjoy playing golf.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Golf it's a great way of being in real estate. I love going and playing golf with clients. Every time I'm out there, I look around and I'm like, I don't know how these places make money with the amount of upkeep they have. Just with the mowing is one thing, but the fertilizing, are golf courses turning to more of trying to be environmentally friendly? Because I feel like back in the day, the fertilizers they didn't really have as much standards as we probably do now on what they can use in fertilizer and stuff. Because I've always heard that living by golf courses back in the day, like there would be histories of like, if you lived on a golf course, your chance for different diseases goes up because of the fertilizers they would use.
It wasn't the fertilizers. Let's be clear on that.
Okay.
It's the herbicides and pesticides. Okay. Now, yes, fertilizer can make a nasty environmental impact, and it does. Again, we'll jump back on this here very soon. But largely what impacts us in our health and has endocrine disruptors and messes with your gut bacteria, and the list is long, is mostly herbicides. Okay. Secondary, it's going to be stuff like fungicides and pesticides. And fungicides are also way overused like herbicides, and they're misunderstood. Something that's common, like if you saw, and I know you did, tons of lawns turned brown last summer.
Mine.
Yours. And I don't know about you, but I know typically what I hear every summer all the time, people are like, well, I thought I had a fungus, so I put a fungicide down. And I'm like,
I just murdered your
you didn't know what you had. You didn't know what you were doing. Why did you do anything? You're probably better off leaving it alone. Because typically in the summertime, you have chinch bugs, not fungus. Okay, so it's a pest problem.
Is that those spots?
The spots are brown patch. But anyway, we're getting to the end of this episode here. Blake, man, I've really enjoyed where this has went in our conversation, and I definitely want to be able to like pick back up on it and jump back into some of those things with you.
Okay. Well, you'll have to come on my podcast.
Oh, I'd love to, man.
Yeah, we'll do that.
That'd be freaking amazing. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Blake Baker Real Estate, TikTok at Blake Baker Real Estate, Facebook. You can just add me on Facebook, Blake Baker, or Blake Baker Realtor. Like I said, just signed a lease. My office is in South Shore Harbor, 2600 South Shore. So, yeah.
Man, congratulations on getting a new office.
Thank you.
On growing, even in this crazy market, right? Dude, that's freaking awesome. And y'all can find me at hippiefertilizing.com. Thank you for liking. Thank you for watching. Please hit the subscribe button and follow and show that you care. Peace.
Peace.
Hey everybody, it's AJ with Hippie Fertilizing. We are here to help fix your lawn. Does it currently look brown, dead, dry, patchy? We'll call it Hippie. We can help turn it around. And one of the best ways to do that is with our Hippie Juice Plus application to revitalize your soil, your turf, and help give you a lush green lawn you're looking for. Please fill out our contact form at hippiefertilizing.com because nobody knows grass like a hippie. Peace.